Probably pretty stable at this point if we don't mess with it. Because it's what, 1970, early 1970s?
Yes.
So any, I would think, issues relative to the stability of the soil at that point and that slab of concrete are probably pretty well established and gated at this time. We might actually cause more problems, I think, if we might disturb it. We don't know. I would be inclined to just kind of leave that part alone, but I think we need to address the other side. And personally,
Yeah, the larger side, the side to the left, this side.
And I think if the left side stays in conformity, the cage is okay. We just don't want to put anything outside of the existing code.
I had an option of squaring it or then bringing, on that green side, bring it down to a 20-foot level, which would only increase it by a couple of feet, or squaring it at that 20-foot level to the existing deck, going parallel across the water line, and then bring it straight down and adding a deck over the enclosed, the entire area. The only reason why I would add the concrete, like I said, to make a sliding glass door.
yeah. And I'd just like to add to the concrete to the right, that small slab, adding concrete there may or may not, I don't know, I'm not the engineer, cause it, but I'm just saying, that part seems to be so stable.
Yeah,
I would
exactly. I
I
would
would be uncomfortable doing anything over on that side.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, because of its proximity.
I have no problem with that, whether you approve or not approved on that little section. It's just strange looking, that's all.
So if we go with your plan B, then really all we have to address is whether it's capable or not.
Correct. Well, yes, no, that is correct.
Okay, so if we don't have to deal with the concrete portion of it, that's just a permittable issue, and then we just have to deal with the cage, I would, if I could get a motion, I would encourage us to go in that direction.
Okay, we need to reclose the public hearing.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to reclose the public hearing.
Okay, and I have a second. How many in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay. Okay, so now we need to address whether or not we want to,
Well, there's actually two parts of this request. The first was to allow the expansion of the existing non-conforming pool deck, and then the second part was the addition of a screen enclosure, creating the rear yard setback. So,
I'd like to make a motion that we deny adding on to the non-conforming pool deck. That doesn't mean.
he can't do it in conformity.
Yeah, this is not part of the motion. That does not mean that he cannot go ahead and add on to the pool deck where it is conforming. But they just cannot add on to the pool deck where it's not conforming.
you're denying the request for a variance for the expansion of the existing non-conforming pool deck.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now if we want to deal with the issue of the cage.
Correct.
I really struggle with this, but I think because the house was built in '78 when it was conforming, and had they gone on ahead and put a pool cage on then, it would have been approved. It would be there. I have a problem with this one. Yeah, I struggle with this. I don't know.
Having previously owned a house that was built in 1960, that did survive Charlie, but it did have a cage. And by today's standards, that house was very non-conforming. And I understand from my perspective, I'm very empathetic and sympathetic to the issues of trying to deal with a non-conforming house in the structures that we have today. I'm inclined with the expansion of your lanai area in a conforming manner to also personally go along with the idea of expanding the cage accordingly to that conforming shape within it, assuming that, and we've heard from your neighbors, you obviously have very good neighbors, you're obviously a good neighbor. If there was any effect on the surrounding properties in this type of variance, they would be the ones affected. They certainly have shown no objection, rather encouragement to us. And so based on that premise, I think that it would be appropriate for us to go, from my perspective, go forward with approving the cage into a conforming lanai type area. Any other discussion?
So what we're saying is that the cage itself can be built in a way that's conforming. The footprint of the cage, is that possible?
Let me make sure I understand. Would you, Terry, would you put the aerial that shows the other pool cages in the vicinity, please?
The other,
Just show the other pools or pool cages.
okay.
Do you have another, I think there was another one that was a larger, from a higher.
Oh, it might have been his.
Oh, the non-conforming cages are found in the area.
Yeah.
There were 3 of them. Just in the general, within an eighth of a mile.
Does that show where his property is?
No, these different streets, what he had.
I'm sorry. All right. So let's go back to the site plan then. If we were to put a pool cage so that the waterward edge of the pool cage met the 20-foot setback, is that possible with respect to the way that the pool is located within?
No.
So then the options really are to approve the pool cage for the deck as it currently exists, which requires a variance because that would violate the setback, or not approve the pool cage.
Is it possible, because I mean, his quality of life, I think that's consideration. If there was no addition to the pool deck at all and only the cage, would that be better?
It's still non-conforming, and you've got a non-conforming pool deck, and now you're adding a non-conforming cage on top of a non-conforming pool deck. And technically, that's not allowed by our city code. If you follow the rules that, when I was on Board of Zoning Appeals, that was one of our major stipulations and criteria for accepting a pool cage to be put on. And this is certainly not the first one that has come before the city. So I'm just very concerned that we're continuing to add all these non-conforming situations, and what situation we could run into in the future with our seawalls. And that is my biggest concern about that.
Then is it possible, or would you be willing to look into whether cutting that corner off on the right and maybe come back to us, and we could see if it would threaten the integrity of the pool, like that right top corner?
I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference, unfortunately. And the more that we look at it, I don't know.
I think, I'm going back to what I'm saying. The way this deck has been since the 1970s has demonstrated it's a stable structure. So I think anything that we would want to do to modify that, including extra concrete in that smaller, could have an impact on a structure that's already demonstrated stable. On the other hand, if we were to consider to the far left, away from where the setback would be normal, I don't see that that's as big of an issue. So, maybe I'm getting confused again, but if they expand to the left and they angle their corner so that the final corner to the left is 20 feet setback, they're in
You've already,
they don't need a
We've already
variance.
denied.
Isn't that what Terry just said earlier?
No, we've already denied that.
For the, but if he did it in a conforming manner where the red line goes straight across, he's indicated that that's 20 feet there. So rather than going clear out to the end of the existing deck to hold any addition back to the 20-foot setback, which is today's requirement.
Oh, so he'd have to come all the way to the right from that corner? Or just cut this triangle off?
I would just make it Z, right?
That would be your 20-foot setback where the red line is, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, on an extension of
That is correct. So that
Okay, so you have this,
So that whole corner has to come off
okay.
in order for it to comply on that side.
Okay.
But it's not even close to complying on the other side. That was the major issue.
Well,
But the other side was in conformity when it was built.
Yes. But again, the city code says that you can't add non-conforming structures to a non-conforming structure. You know, it's by default, by way of the.
When we're dealing with these older buildings though, and Emerald Point is a good example, we have buildings that don't even meet that criteria.
Understand
And so, we have codes and conformity codes and issues that we have to deal with that are for today when you're building a new structure. Absolutely, those should be non-negotiable. But when you're dealing with a structure that was built 40 years ago, I'm a round number kind of guy, I think you have to take into context the history of it and when it was built. And it was built in earnest and conformity at that point in time. Adding a cage on top of that, I don't see as a big structural issue. If the proposal was that he wanted to square off, with the seawall, and he wanted to add another 300 square feet or 400 square feet instead of 100 square feet, then that's a major addition. That's like, but I don't see this as a major structural addition. And as far as the seawall goes, I still have to go back to the fact that even though it is not conforming, it was conforming at the time of construction, and 49 years later it has demonstrated that it's stable.
What if the cage just stayed within the footprint of that? Just leave out this right side. I'm sorry, one of the left, this extra piece. Like, if this, if you do a picture, that picture,
The back picture.
and come down, or not, and move over to the left a little bit. There's an extra slab that's not the foundation of where the pool is. If, let's say, could the cage be only over the pool and leave this cage as it is, and just leave this corner out? Or would that be? Like the existing cage?
You're leaving the outside patio where the chairs are.
Yeah, just leave that alone, don't put a cage over that. The cage will only be over the pool and connect to this existing cage.
I guess it would have to depend on if the applicant is willing to do that.
Would you be willing to do that?
Just leave the,
Do
let's say the patio chairs exposed to the
Excuse me, Mr.
sunlight.
Ambrosino,
I'm sorry?
do we want to reopen the
We
public
have
well,
hearing? Should we leave it
I
open
just something
until?
more.
No, you did, we did.
Oh, okay.
Just want to make our first.
well, the staff's been asking and answering questions, so the applicant should be allowed to answer the questions. And I don't know if this needs to be part of the public hearing, it's part of the deliberation.
I just missed.
No, you.
You're fine.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, thank you.
It's just a matter of Robert's Rules of Order. We keep opening and closing the hearing. Once the hearing is closed, technically you can't speak.
I'll just put a chair here and just move it down to the back down.
Where your chairs are sitting right now, you're not caging that. Leaving this cage and then caging only over the pool area.
Cool.
So you know,
That would be, if that's what I would have to do, then that would be acceptable for us to have it. Right now, I have no screen enclosure. That would be a acceptable idea.
Okay.
I would be okay with that. For the most part, it's going to be in conformity with that. For the most part, it might be a little off, but it's not the same. It's not going to be.
You know, I don't know that it's, I mean, I understand we're reducing the nonconformity, but there's still nonconformity. And so, you know, I keep, as we discuss this, I really feel that I understand the issue of not adding to non-conforming on non-conforming, but I feel that in our community, we do have structures that have been built. And, you know, it's like, do we want people to, like this resident, to really add to the community and add to the value of our community? So, you know, it was conforming at the time and would still be conforming if they put pool cage on when they built the house. They just didn't. And so, you know, we've seen those situations before. So I feel like in this case, if we've already said you can't expand the deck beyond to make it more non-conforming, but I guess I would make a motion that we go ahead and allow the person,
Allow the whole thing to be enclosed.
allow a pool cage to enclose,
To cover the whole thing.
to cover the pool deck.
Is that officially a motion?
That is a motion.
Do I have a second?
I would do that.
Have a second? All those in favor?
Let's make sure that the record is clear
Okay.
as to what the motion is.
Okay.
Okay.
As I understand the motion, it is to approve the request to add the screen enclosure on top of the existing non-conforming deck.
Yes. Thank you for making it more eloquent.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second on that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, carried unanimously.
And just, no, that's fine. Just so we have understanding regarding what we did, and of course this is on a case-by-case basis. We have two setbacks when we talk about properties adjacent to a seawall. We have a setback it's a 6-foot setback, and that's principally for the protection of the seawall itself, and we minimize structures and fire side and all that other stuff. The 20-foot setback traditionally is for to maintain the view from the neighbors of the water, so that you don't obstruct the neighbors. In this particular instance, you would recall from seeing the photos that the neighbor's view, because there weren't really any windows from the side, the corner of the house that was closest to where the pool would be, it really wouldn't obstruct their view there, and the same would probably be true for the other. So in this particular setting, while there is a 20-foot setback for a purpose, primarily to maintain the view shed of the adjoining properties, in this particular instance, it may not be necessary. And so, you know, for the record, I'm sure you took that into consideration when you granted the variance. The situation may not be the same in the next case that comes along, where it might be an impediment to the view of the water by the neighbors. So this will not serve as a precedent in the next case that comes in.
That's an important distinction, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Epstein, do you understand what we've approved?
I'm just gonna,
I
I
want to make
was
sure that
loving hearing all of what we were talking about with 6 versus 20. That was very interesting. Did you approve, I know you approved the cage, which thank you very much. I appreciate it, me and my family and my wife. Can I do that extra little piece by the window?
yes, but you can't.
I can't approach
You can't go past where she put the red line on that.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
But you can't. But you
In a
cannot
conforming
put.
manner.
Yeah, but you cannot put an extended deck on the right-hand side, which would
Right.
further encroach.
I can live with that. Committee members, Vice Mayor, thank you very much for your time. You made my day. You really did. I'm just as happy as a dad when I bought my house.
Yeah, go take a nap.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And we wish your neighbor very good health.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, you're most welcome. Sorry for the hard one.
Sorry for taking everybody's time up so much. Again, thank you.
May I address the council for just a minute?
I don't believe you can at this point. Sorry.
Okay, so we're moving on to the ordinances with the resolutions to no public hearing. Citizens' comments. Does anybody want to comment on the subject resolution at this time? Okay, since nobody wants to step forward to comment, then we can move on to C2.
Yes, this is a resolution which I'll read by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, in support of the widening of Aquia Drive from Bal Harbor Boulevard to US 41 Kamehameha Trail, and requesting that the Punta Gorda MPO place this project on the long-range plan and providing an effective date.
This was done at the request of City Council, and get the process started.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Moving on to consent agenda, we now call for any citizens' comments on consent agenda only. If anybody would like to make any comments, please come forward. Okay, we have nobody coming forward. Okay, so we'll move on to consent agenda item B, City Clerk. Approval of the minutes and regular meeting for March 1st, 2017.
Just ask if there's anyone that wants to pull any item off.
Oh, is there anybody who wants to put any item on? I'm sorry. Okay.
Entertain a motion for approval of
Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Actually, I would like to pull E1.
Okay.
Yeah, E1.
E1. Yeah, I would like to pull E1.
Okay.
Okay, move approval of the consent agenda minus E1.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on to E1.
Yeah. And I'm very glad that someone is interested in this particular property. Feel that perhaps we should have a time limit on when this person, how long the sign can go up. We've done that typically in the past. So in this case, it's March. We could give it, 6 months. We could say the end of the year. We could say 9 months. We could do.
The applicant is trying to test the market, and usually, we really don't let them go beyond a year, do we?
A year is standard, and unless they actually do submit their plans.
So 12 months is what we should.
We've done
They
that.
give it a sunset date.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Then I would suggest that we add a sunset date, 12 months.
I agree.
Make the motion. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to regular agenda. We are open to any citizens' comments regarding the regular agenda at this time on regular agenda items only. Do we have any comments? Yes, you do. Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Bob Fritz, and I live on Macedonia Drive in Berkshire Isles. Regular agenda C, agreement award to Marine Contracting Group. This is an agreement, in excess, a 3-year agreement in excess of $6 million. The way I read your information, 57 invitations were handed out, request to bid. 1 was received. Okay, it happens to be the same contractor who is doing the work right now. The increase this year would be 9%, but to be fair, the scope of work has increased a little bit. A net of 6.5% increase. 5% increase for next year and 5% the following year. There's no competition here. He has a monopoly. I don't know if something's wrong in the bidding procurement for 56 qualified contractors not to respond. To me, it would seem that there's an issue somewhere. It'll net out 2 years from now, and 2 months from now, to a 16.5% increase of what we're paying today. I think there's something wrong. I think the agreement should be he's got you, we need somebody to do the work, but I think the agreement should be changed from a 3-year agreement to a 1-year agreement. Have our procurement department talk to different qualified contractors, find out why nobody wants to bid, and perhaps rebid it this year for next year. Because he's got you, you know, he's got us, we're paying for it, and no competition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further comments? So, moving on along. The first item is reappropriation appropriation for a winch truck, and it was budgeted previously, and we're now getting ready to purchase it.
Move approval of it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. The next item is Charlotte County has come to us with a request. They're putting $500,000 roughly into refurbishing and adding an addition to an existing hangar for the Western Michigan School of Aviation. This type of a project has been in our strategic plan for a number of years. We partner to bring Western Michigan here and assist them. The request is for us to use the business development account to the tune of $5,700 and transfer it to pay the water and sewer impact fees as a partner with the county and the airport authority to get Western Michigan up and running, and staff is in full agreement with this recommendation.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it shows good support, community support, so I think it's something we should do. I'll move approval.
I agree.
It's good support, and it shows that we have a partnership with the county to get this to happen.
I have a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay. You moved, right?
I did.
Yeah, moved, so I need a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously.
The next item is the Marine Contracting Group, and we do have answers to the gentleman's questions regarding the bidders and the percentage increase.
Good morning. For the record, Mary Ann Pace, Procurement Manager. I first want to say, I thought we were going to have 3 bidders. I was ecstatic. Historically, since I was even a courier with the city, we basically had 1 bidder on this type of contract. Our previous contract, back in 2011, we did receive 2 bids. One was Hansch Marine, they were the apparent low bidder, and Marine Contracting Group. Marine Contracting Group received the contract because of our local preference policy at that time. When we were going through it and talking with these folks, I know a year and a half ago, I met with Kelly Brothers, and I said, what can we do for you to bid? And he said at that time, it was like the work was being, excuse me, handed out in different areas. And if we could coordinate to where they could plan how they want to route their work, then that would be, make it more interesting for them to bid. So we did that. We also revised some of the specifications and the requirements to improve contractor performance. We were required to include, for the first time, builder's risk insurance on the contractor. We combined several different components of the seawall that was individually, in the current contract, was individually priced, so that once they completed that entire component of the seawall panel, seawall caps, deadmen, then they would get paid. We've also made the time restrictions on the time frame between certain portions of the work. So we've become more restrictive to make sure that there's nothing laying stagnant, and then they go back and finish some of the work. So we, Public Works try to tie all that up. In our contracts addressing the maximum or the percentage increase, we awarded the current contract in 2011. They requested, and they were allowed in the second and third year of the contract to receive up to a 5% increase. They did not request it. In the second year, the third year, they did request a 4% increase, but that was the only increase through 6 years. And then they did reduce one component of the waterward seawall panel shortly in September of 2011, I believe. So in 6 years, there was only one increase for 4% in this current contract that we're in right now. The reason why we do ask for the 5% or what the maximum percentage increase is so we can kind of control the cost and be able to evaluate a little bit better to make sure that we are establishing a contract with the lowest bidder. And they may ask for it and they may not. They have a right to. So that's basically on the increases. If you look at the average quantities purchased over the past 3 years and put them side by side, the increase in unit rates on this proposed contract is 1.15%. Because going apples to apples. For fill, we have 2 line items there for fill. Before, we just had 1 line item. Now it's if they use, there's a cost for using the city spoil site fill, and then for them to transport fill in.